Suffering is fuel. You can use it to launch a rocket, or you can use it to burn yourself alive, which is what most people do. So use it wisely. When something bad happens in our lives, we generate a massive amount of emotional energy. This is fuel. But most people are too physically focused. They only see the loss. They wallow in self-pity. They say, why me? Why did I lose my job? I worked so hard. Why did I get cancer? I watch what I eat. I work out every day. Why did they break out with me? I love them so much. They blame, they become resentful, and they get stuck in grief and powerlessness. It's like they're pouring petrol on themselves and setting themselves on fire. They burn. Then there are people who see a higher purpose in suffering. Some people believe that suffering is a karmic debt that you need to pay off. Some people believe that suffering is a teacher. It points out to you what your attachments are and what you need growth. Some people believe that suffering is to be endured. It's used to purify you and get rid of your sins. Then there are people who see suffering as a contrast to your desires. When you experience what you don't want, you know what you do want. It helps you to see more clearly what you truly desire. Whatever the case is, these people use the fuel more wisely. They use the fuel to launch the rockets towards higher vibration. They find meaning in their suffering and use it to elevate their lives. This group has more acceptance towards suffering, so they are more hopeful and content with their life. But then the first group of people says, hey, I don't believe in this crap. You know, what karmic debt, what teacher, what purification of sins. These are just spiritual nonsense. There's no proof that they are true. They're just wishful thinking. The fact is, I lost my job, my relationship, my health. I'm suffering right here. That is the truth. And I'd rather suffer and burn myself in the fire than believe that something that is untrue. What they say is actually not wrong, but what they say isn't the full picture. They are talking only about their physical reality, the situation they are in, and their emotional reality, how they are feeling right now. But what they are missing is the spiritual reality, the higher purpose. When someone is born handicapped or dies early in childhood, you don't know what their soul chooses to experience on this earth. You only see suffering because you only see the physical reality. You are not seeing from the spiritual perspective, the higher perspective. What are they here to learn and teach? What essence are they here to share with everyone? You don't know, I don't know. Their ego probably also don't know. But their soul knows. Their soul knows the higher purpose, they know the why. You see, the fundamental difference between the two groups is perception. Whether they believe suffering is happening to them or for them, whether the universe is for me or against me. The first group feels punished by a hostile universe, viewing the world as a dark place. They see suffering is happening to them. The second group, on the other hand, trusts in a compassionate universe. They believe everything is happening for a reason. They believe that obstacles are simply invitation to grow. They see suffering is happening for them. Why do we suffer? What is the meaning behind our suffering? Different religious and spiritual groups will give you different answer. It really doesn't matter what you believe in. Personally, I don't resonate with all this belief mentioned here. But what matters is whether believing in something lifts you up or sinks you down further. We can argue all day about who is right. No one will come down from the sky and say, you are right and everyone else is wrong. That is just the ego speaking, wanting to be right. We all have different versions of what the higher purpose is, and we won't know the ultimate truth until maybe we pass on. The higher purpose is not available to our little conscious mind right now, but we all know from a deep intuitive level that there is a higher purpose to suffering. There is something more to life. There's something more than what is presented in the physical world. And we can interpret it whatever way that serves us. What matters is that this higher purpose gives us the reason to carry on living. It gives the mind a reason to live. The mind gives up easily when it doesn't get what it wants. But as long as what you choose to believe in leads you to the essence of source, or God, or higher power, whatever you call it, As long as it leads you to the vibration of peace, love, and joy, the true essence of source, then you're good, then you're on the right path. But the first group then says, that's just spiritual bypassing. You're just using spirituality to explain your problems away. I would rather suffer than to believe something that's made up. But you think that the higher purpose is just a story to make you feel better. Then what about the narration in your mind? When you tell how bad the situation is that true or not? Or is just your mind making out a story? And if both are making up stories, then which story do you prefer? Yes, our body experience pain, we lose stuff and people in our lives, but it's the mind that makes it many times worse. The truth is, all events are neutral. Rain, for example, is bad for the wedding planner who is organizing an outdoor event, but it's very good for the farmer. But rain is just rain, it's neither good nor bad. Situation does not cause unhappiness. It depends on how we interpret the situation. You can interpret your situation solely from the ego perspective and suffer more, or you can see it from the spirit's point of view and uplift yourself. Whenever you try to ask the why question, like why me, from your ego perspective, you don't get a good answer because the ego doesn't know why. The ego only knows how to focus on personal gains and losses. It only knows how to wallow in self-pity and paint a narrative of poor me. If you want a more fruitful, more meaningful answer, then the why question needs to be directed or answered from the perspective of the spirit, not the ego. What actually determines whether something is good or bad is you. You have so much freedom that you can choose to listen to the perspective of ego or the spirit. If you're just reacting to the events around you based on what you conditioned to believe is good or bad, then you're just like a puppet on a string. Your emotion will keep fluctuating according to the events that's happening around the world. It's not stable. You saw the bad news on TV and that made you sad for the whole afternoon. Then you got a promotion in a job and you're happy. Your partner broke up with you, then you're sad again. Then your partner wants you again, then you're happy again. Then you get sad, happy, sad, happy. You have no control over your emotion. It's like someone has a remote control on you, controlling your happiness. And you say, I know what to do. I will just control the event. If I just control the events, I will fix the events. As long as I avoid all the suffering and no bad things happen in my life, I won't feel bad. But when you try to control the event, it makes you more attached to the event. And later you realize that you have no control of the event, and that makes you feel worse. The only way you have control over your emotions, making your emotion reality more stable and not fluctuate too much according to the event, is to determine your perspective. You can't control the events. You can't control what other people do or don't do, but you can control your own perception. Always choose a higher perspective over the ego's perspective. It's not about whether the reality is true or not. There are multiple realities. It's about choosing a reality that serves you. You can choose to burn yourself in fuel, or you can use the fuel to launch a rocket. It's your choice. How do you want to feel? Instead of allowing external events to control and influence your emotion, you set the tone of how you want to feel in advance and determine how you want to perceive the event. So instead of going from event to perception to suffering to emotion reality, you reverse the arrow. There is an event, but you decide to be more content, hopeful, love, peace, and joy. And you set the emotional tone. Say, this is how I want to feel. And then you perceive the event through a higher perspective. When something bad happens in your life, you can either wallow in self-pity and blame the world, or you can extract a deeper meaning out of it. It's as simple as that. But then someone asks, if there's a God, why are people suffering? If the universe is a compassionate one, like what you say for me, then why create so much problem on earth? Shouldn't everyone be wealthy and healthy? Why are there wars? Hear this. People suffer because people suffer. As human, we have to deal with the very human thing like birth and death, gain and loss, pleasure and pain, health and sickness. There is no denying any of this. There's no denying of the physical reality. That is just part of being human. God isn't here to make you happy. The universe isn't responsible for the action you take or your happiness. You are. Your soul is actually always trying to find a way, trying to find relief and move up the emotional scale. It wants to get closer to source. That's the natural, very natural thing for your soul to do. And the more you point yourself to the direction of source, the closer you are towards the vibration of source, like peace, love, and joy. But if you go against your soul's natural desire, the more you turn away from source, the further you are from the vibration of source. The more resistant you feel, the more you suffer. And the decision to go with the natural flow or against it is your responsibility, it's your role. The source will keep calling you to this higher vibration no matter what. But it's up to you whether you want to go with it or not. The role of source is to keep holding this higher vibration, this higher perspective frequency for you, so that regardless of whatever happens in your life, you can always have something to tap onto even when you feel lost or stuck. But it's not the source job to make you happy. That is your job. The universe is always on your side, just not the way your ego wants it to be. So if you have been suffering for a long time, that's because you're stuck in a circle, a cycle. Bad things keeps happening to you and you keep reacting in the same way. So you keep getting the same result. You keep running in circles. You keep going round and round, repeating the same pattern. That's because you're looking at the situation from a very flat 2D perspective. But if you bring higher perspective to the situation, the circle now becomes a spiral. It keeps going upward and upward. The same bad things, the same condition can keep recurring, but you don't perceive them as bad anymore. You have a new way of dealing with it. You don't ask why me anymore. You ask, how can this situation help me grow? What gift do I receive from the situation? What can I learn from this? Or what is the source my inner being, my spirit is perceiving that I'm not seeing? And you become more curious and you become more open to the spiritual perspective, then you'll be going in a spiral. You're not stuck. You're actually rising to higher perspective and higher vibration. Then the insight you will receive will be very different. And now whatever happens in your life, you're not controlled by them. Instead, you extract value out of it. The biggest misconception is we believe that we need the condition to be perfect to have a perfect day, to have a great vibration, to feel good. But the truth is, you can't have a perfect day without a perfect condition. So, condition suffering, you can use it as fuel and use it wisely to launch a rocket rather than burn yourself alive. All your life problems dissolve when you understand how your mind creates them. Watch this next video to find out more.